All right, what's up? This is Tony,
And this is Rico.
and this is Relatively Sound, the podcast that sharp distance. All right, now that Rico's very confused, we can begin today's album for album episode. Today, I get the pleasure to throw something at Rico that I've been waiting to throw at him for a while. It is an album that came out 53 years ago, as of today. So we're going way back for this one. But unlike some of my other older picks, this is not like a Beach Boys record. Nothing like that. This is a rock record, keeping up with the theme. So Rico, what you know about prog?
Not much. I know what it is, and I might be able to tell you some bands that are associated with it. Um, I can tell you my personal feelings on it just from the little I've heard, which is that it's so sometimes mind melting that it's hard for me to listen to it almost as music. It's it's almost more so like you either listen to it and try not to zone in on the technicalities of what the band is playing, or you do, and then you end up like just hurting yourself because you're like trying to count time signatures and you're trying to like find, figure out what the tuning is and figure out all the different parts that they're constantly changing. And yeah, sometimes like for me, it's almost like a chore, only because the type of music I listen to, like, is a lot more mellow, and I'm digging into other things more so, like a vocal performance or a lyric.
I am giving you yeses. Yeses always sounds kind of weird to say. The album by Yes, Fragile, from 1971. I will preface it by saying this is not a perfect album, and I don't believe it to be. But I think this is a good introduction to the band. This lineup is kind of what people think about a lot. At least for me, this is what I think about for the lineup with the members. This has the band's probably their biggest song, I would say, on it. It's only 41 minutes long, so not too crazy.
Okay, so I should know one song then, right?
Yes, you will know the opening track, which was quite a meme for a bit. Roundabout. This album is kind of seen as songs that the band wrote together, as well as songs that were more so solo pieces with the other members playing on them. So as we go through the album, I will let you know which one's which, and I think this is good too, because I think it kind of lets you get a little more personality from each musician themselves. And that's something I really love about Yes, is I feel like each musician has an identity. I feel like the music is really immersive and imaginative. And even though there is plenty of technical things going on, I think it's very doable to just kind of take it in as an experience. So
All
yeah,
right.
I'm done gushing about it. You want to get into it?
Yeah, let's go give it a listen.
All right, track 1, Roundabout. Everyone knows it, and everyone should love it.
This will not be a first reaction for me. I do know the song. Okay, so that's the meme part. Yep, I mean it's got a groovy bass.
Iconic bass tone.
I'm sure this is considered one of the best bass songs when it comes to like basses. Now I can't tell you the last time I heard the song all the way through, so I'm kind of curious how much I'll remember more of the back end or like the middle. Because so far everything I've heard up to this point, I'm like, yeah, this is Roundabout. Which I do like. I mean, there's a lot of things that have happened already throughout the song, and maybe it's just because I know it fairly well that none of it is like shocking to me. So like when it comes to prog, I do very much, when I think of prog, this is one of the songs I think of. There is a lot of parts in the song, but none of it feels like disconnected from one another. They all feel like they sync up, on purpose, like, if that makes sense. Why does this remind me of like Blue Oyster Cult for some reason?
Oh, like the solo part of Don't Fear the Reaper?
Yeah. This also gives me a Santana vibe too.
Yeah, like the percussion
bongos
type vibe.
And what I do like about this song is I do like that the sections, either they repeat enough or they're long enough to where they're memorable. Like, when they tease this part the first time, I remember, I'm like, oh, they're going to go to this section later on, you know? I see, I like this organ thing because it's played so fast, it almost sounds like robotic. This is the part I don't remember as much. Even though it's the same section, it's just slightly different. And again, just to remind the listeners, if I keep this part in the edit, that I'm not freaking out as much because I've heard the song before. So it's pretty much from here on out, except for the one other song that I've heard once or twice, it'll be like, my mind will be melting.
100%.
But it does feel this, I mean, the lyrics read, I mean, they're very naturey. It sings about the mountains, the lakes, the valley. He uses words that do kind of remind me of like fantasy or even westerns, like the atmosphere, silhouettes. What I'm saying is I like these lyrics because it's just kind of vivid descriptions. And then this part, which I kind of forgot about, gives me Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young vibes. I mean, this might be like the shortest little post-summary talk for Roundabout, but like I said, I've heard it before. I've heard it, maybe definitely not as much as you, because I, hear it mostly on the radio or in other, media, but, it's a song that even Lindsay likes, which, for an 8-minute prog song, that's not really in Lindsay's wheelhouse, not in my wheelhouse, so... but yeah, it's just one of those songs where it's like when you're growing up, if you venture towards the realm of rock, you're going to hear the song one way or another. And yeah, I mean, it's a classic rock song. Like, I mean, it's maybe when they wrote it, they weren't thinking that down the road it would be considered classic rock, but I kind of consider it classic rock, even though I know
totally
it's prog, but it's like classic prog rock, It's poggers, as the kids these days would say.
I still don't really know what pog. What does that even mean?
I don't know.
Okay.
Chat, will someone let us know? But
Chat,
no, yeah,
do you feel
like
based right now. Okay.
I mean, like this song, like it has the bass line. Like this has to be in the top 5 bass lines of all time. Are there other bass lines that I like more? Probably, but like this has to be top 5. Like just objectively. The fact that they interweave the acoustic guitars within later on that electric rock part that, I was saying sounded like Don't Fear the Reaper. The fact that there are so many parts, like, I don't even know, like, it's not just a song where it's like verse, chorus, verse, chorus. I mean, there's pre-choruses in there. There's like A, B, C, D sections, like even the bridge section isn't just a bridge. I feel like it's almost like a whole new song. But like I said earlier, they flow so well into one another. It's never disorienting. Like it's always it's smooth. So if the whole album can do these elements just as well as they do it on this song, I think we'll have no problem. This could be a contender for. So that's the thing. Like this is the type of prog I like.
Well, so this next song here, I'm just gonna read it from Wikipedia for you. I'm gonna be a little bit lazy. I feel bad. I don't even know how to pronounce this guy's name fully. But the song is called Cans and Brahms, which is Wakeman's adaptation of an excerpt of the third movement of Symphony Number 4 in E minor by Johannes Brahms.
Okay, I know that guy.
With an electric piano used for the string section, grand piano for the woodwinds, organ for the brass, electric harpsichord, 4 reeds, and synthesizer as contrabassoon. Wakeman said the piece took an estimated 15 hours to create in the studio.
I'm glad that this is going to be just like an interlude type thing.
Thank you for understanding that. I appreciate that. Okay.
Like, this actually just sounds like it would be a preset on a Casio keyboard. This is the music that plays when Lord Farquaad makes an appearance.
So what'd you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It's an interlude. It's never. I'm shocked if anyone, even the diehard Yes fan songs, puts that on, puts it on, other than like showing it to someone for the first time, or just when they listen to the album, like on vinyl all the way through. Like that's. I mean, like the song itself. The inspiration that the
Piece.
the piece that it comes from that you mentioned that I only half kind of heard, but I'm going to include it in the episode that way people know what I'm talking about. That part, I mean, the sound itself sounds nice. Like it just sounds like classical music, right? The instruments that were used in it made it sound very dated. Because I don't consider classical music as dated, like Beethoven and those types of pieces. I don't consider it dated, just like I wouldn't consider like Shakespeare dated. However, if you cover it with I don't know, instruments that now do sound dated or like production like that, that makes it sound dated. So like, don't get me wrong, the music itself being played didn't sound bad or dated to me, but it came off sounding like a preset on a keyboard.
Well, let's keep this moving. We're gonna do another solo track. We're gonna do John Anderson's, which is called "We Have Heaven."
What is this? By the way, or is it?
It is "Tell the Moondog, Tell the March Hare."
Okay, but looking at the track length time, I'm almost still considering this an interlude. Maybe you're disagree with me, but I disagree.
No, I mean, I'm gonna be real. Like, do I think this is like an actual song? Like, sure, but is it like a song in the album?
Yeah. Okay, I got another interlude. I'm only disappointed because Roundabout is such a great song. Although I think I did know it was this album's opener, but I never really thought about how I felt about it being as an opening track. But it's like, I thought it was going to set the pace for the album. And then it's preceded by two interludes, both short. One being just like a classical piece of music. This one being like a song. Like all the parts were cool. It starts off right away. Like, I like the drum beat. The bass I really like doing. I don't know if it was doing octaves, but it was doing like the really high, really high on the neck parts, which I liked. You got some nice harmonies. As the song went on, even though we talked a little over it, there were like things happening sonically, different panning and stuff that I thought was cool. Lyrically, I'm sure that there's a lot, even though there's not a lot of lyrics, I'm sure like it comes from something that we could fact check later on, and I will do it before we do our wrap up in a couple days. But yeah, I mean it was a cool texture of music, but again, it's not, as you said, it's a real song, but it's not, because it doesn't really have different sections. It doesn't. I think a lot of people would agree that I guess a real song doesn't have to have a chorus and verse, but it's definitely not a verse chorus type song. And for the music I listen to, that's kind of almost the bare minimum the song needs to have.
Okay, the next song I can guarantee you is definitely a song. Okay. So why don't we go into it? South Side of the Sky.
Okay, kind of angry, mean riff. Okay, this part sounds more yesy than that first part. Maybe it's just because of the organ and I don't know if there's like some modulations going on, but this part almost reminds me of something like Dio. I really like. Well, hopefully they'll go back to the verse part. Okay, I really like the guitars happening in the verse on the left. This time it's doing something different, but I liked it even when the first time it did it. Just these little, like, fast riffs. You know the one thing I'm not loving as much? I don't love the bass tone. Okay, some piano. We got like a bridge section. Okay, the drum is doing kind of what it did in the intro, which is like some improv type shit. This is already much better piano than on that Brahms song. I'm do hoping we pick back up. I'm sure we will. Okay, those harmonies again, that remind me of Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young. This is almost kind of reminding me, not the song, but the way I'm reacting to this song of the title track from Asia, where there's so much going on, I almost don't know how to react.
Yeah, you don't know if you should be like afraid or like
But
crying.
unlike Asia, I remember after hearing Asia for the first time, I wasn't the biggest fan, but now it's like one of my favorites from the album. Where this I know I'm liking, it's just I'm still taking it in. This is definitely more gentle than like Roundabout. I mean, there is a gentle couple parts in Roundabout, but they launch right into the rock stuff. This is kind of building more gradually, I feel like. Okay, now it sounds like we're being abducted by an alien. Okay, back into the chunky riff. Yeah, see, I really love the guitar part. But when it does... He kind of changes it up every time.
We were talking about that one like fast shred.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I do like that lyric too. The warmth of the sky, the warmth when you die. Yeah, so the star of the show for Roundabout is obviously the bass. I think the star of this song is the guitar. You could say the piano for the middle section, but for this section, definitely the guitar. Some of this reminds me of the soloing of Niels Klein from Wilco.
I was kind of thinking that. I was kind of like this kind of long, kind of jazzier.
Yeah, I liked it.
I hate saying jazzier, but you know.
So we're kind of booked in on this album. So far, I forgot if you told me how many songs there are. I mean, I know roughly the length of the album, but
this is the end of side one.
Okay, which makes sense because it's booked in. You had the 8-minute, Roundabout, the epic, and then you had the two, definitely the two kind of interlude tracks, the piano classical piece, and then I don't even know, not quite psychedelic, but the very interesting other song that comes before this one. And then
we have Heaven,
and then this one was definitely felt more like a Roundabout type of song, but it starts off, my favorite section for sure is the verse, or what I call the verse, because those guitar licks
Beato
riff, I was trying to say riff and lick at the same time. Those riffs were just fantastic. They were cool. They were not something I think I would normally enjoy as much as I did here, but they just sounded great. In fact, they were so good that when I focused on the bass, there was something about the tone I just didn't love. I love the tone and the playing of the guitars that I was almost annoyed that the bass wasn't sounding as good to me. Like, the playing was good. It's just, I didn't like the tone as much. I don't know. Maybe it's because I was comparing the bass playing to Roundabout, but the guitars on this song were the showcase. Because the soloing at the end, I also really liked it. I thought he was going to go off and do really other fast, leads like he does in the verse or even the chorus, but he did this kind of like longer notes approach, and it was definitely more about the feel, which is why I brought up the comment. It reminds me of Niels Klein's playing in Wilco. You've heard one album with his playing on it, but on later Wilco albums, he not every song, but he will have a solo or two that has that same kind of feel, which I've really started to enjoy over the last couple of years for me getting into him through Wilco. So I like the guitar at the very end. I will say that the middle section, the piano bit, was interesting. I will say it didn't flow as seamlessly as I feel like the sections in Roundabout.
I was just going to ask that. If you're okay with this song basically being Here's the rock half of the song, and then here's like the atmospheric part of the song. But
I'll
Roundabout,
say
yeah, is
going
weaving.
going from the rock sections of the verse, pre-chorus, and chorus at the beginning of the song into the atmospheric piano, that didn't feel as seamless. But I will say them building that back into the rest of the song was great. Like the drums came back in, the bass came in subtle. The bass came in, I think, first, and then kind of the drums came in, and I think some guitar bits, and then the vocals. So I think the build going back into the rest of the song was great. I think it'll just take me a couple more listens to appreciate the change into that section more.
I quite like how it goes into it personally. So interesting.
Yeah. And I did really like the vocals. Strong vocals, same vocalist as Roundabout.
Yeah, it's all the same
Okay.
guy. I think the backups, some of the backups on this could have been the other
Oh,
guys.
so even the Heaven song was him too?
No, I think the heaven probably would have been all John.
Okay,
If I had to guess.
I'm just checking. But I do like the vocals on the song. I like the longer notes, and I like the lyrics. Again, this kind of felt like Roundabout, where with this one it makes more sense. It's titled "South Side of the Sky." He's singing about the sky, singing about nature again, rivers and mountains. This one though, definitely getting a little bit more philosophical about eternity and the warmth of when you die, which I do appreciate. I always like a good lyric about death. You know, not that sounded really dark.
Yeah, damn,
I
right.
like lyrics about the possibilities of after you die. You know, um, and yeah, I like the were we warmer on that day, like the day that you die. I think that's just a cool concept. Again, I I mean, the lyrics actually, there's not a ton of lyrics looking at him. Like, he does kind of repeat some of the, phrases and stuff. But I like that it wasn't, I like that an 8-minute song didn't have 800 different words. And I mean, it helped too that there was the instrumental section where there were no words, just harmonies. But, yeah, so, yeah, I like the one a lot. I will, though, my other little critique is that when it goes into like the pre-chorus and chorus, and you're hopefully gonna be able to tell me what this is called. When they take the riff, and then it just sounds like they play the same riff but up a couple octaves.
Yeah,
Not
yeah, they just
octaves, but
modulate
like
upwards.
modulated up. I'm not always the biggest fan of that, which is why I like the verses better because they just kind of hung around with that riff and it gave the guitarist. And I'm sorry, I'm even if you
Steve
tell me
Howe.
then I'm gonna forget it in the next song. But
Okay,
that's
he'll
just
only
my
hate you forever. It's okay.
yeah. I just love not only the riff he was playing, but I love that every time they went back to the verse, he played like a different variation of that. So definitely a song where like it's not as perfect to me as Roundabout, but I really dug a lot of the sections. And there was really no section I disliked, just it didn't seem as smooth as Roundabout. But yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna ask you yet because I want to have my own opinion on the album, but I'm curious if you think Roundabout is like the best song on the album. Don't tell me yet. I'll ask you after, but I'm kind of curious.
So side 2 opens with 5% for Nothing. This is Bill Bruford, the drummer's first solo composition ever. And it's a start, as he self-admitted. But Bill Bruford later goes on to drum in King Crimson.
That's low key what I thought you were giving me today, by the way.
I wanted to, but you're not ready for that yet.
I'm not ready.
You're not ready.
Well, we all have to start somewhere. Now this is like Primus. This is which is another what I thought you were giving me today. And from the little I know, King Crimson, this definitely reminds me of that. So I'm not surprised that he would later be a drummer for them. Well, honestly, honestly, that actually, now that you bring up the Talking Heads, that kind of reminds me of, I don't know if I'm going to pronounce his name right, Adrian Belew, the guitarist that is on Remain in Light, which is, in my opinion, the best. What?
No, keep going. Keep going.
So, Remain in Light is my favorite Talking Heads album. I think a lot of people would say it's one of their best. Adrian Belew is one of the guitarists that's all over that record. And that guitar part, this little 5% for Nothing song kind of reminded me a little bit of like something you'd hear like on Born Under Punches, which is like maybe one of my favorites on that album. It looked like when I said that, like wires connected in your brain. So can you tell me what happened? when I mentioned
That
that.
King Crimson record that I was thinking about, the one that I'm most familiar with and like the
Yeah.
most, Discipline, has Adrian Belew on it, and he actually
Well,
does
there you
vocals
go.
for some of the songs.
Well, there you
So,
go.
all right, I'm giving you this album somewhat soon then.
Oh, Jesus Christ! What
You, you,
did I get myself into?
oh my gosh, that was amazing. Oh my gosh, all the wires in my head, like the amount of serotonin that was just released.
Yeah. So
All right.
I mean, it is, but I mean, okay. I'll
I'll
give the
take it
timer.
over Cans and Brahms, just because it's shorter.
You know, honestly, I will too. Yeah, I don't know if I take this over the Heaven song.
I like We Have Heaven more. I think it does do more for me.
Yeah,
But
but this is definitely
Runtime
more.
purely.
This is more fun than the Cans and Braum. Again, is it something I'm going to listen to outside of this album ever? Probably not. Also, just because it's barely half a minute long, but I literally don't know what else I can say. It is what it is.
So next song up, Long Distance Runaround. You mentioned Lindsay has this on one of her playlists, so you are probably familiar with the song to some extent.
Yeah. This reminds me of Steely Dan.
Yeah, I see that.
The vocals sound kind of weird. The production. They sound very like alone in the mix. It's kind of weird. It's hard to describe. You know. Okay, that part sounded a little Beatles-ish. That part's smooth. That part's jazzy. I like that guitar bit. Yeah, okay. I like that part the best so far. Between the vocal melody and the guitar bit, that part,
Which is the intro guitar bit, maybe a little different, but
like his actual vocal. And so now we get the intro, but with like the full drums and bass, which is cool. Okay, that bass going a little
sly, a little
ham,
little detail.
So okay, this might sound weird to you, but that
I swear
song,
to God, if you say you hate the song or
no,
this is the
but
worst
that song was harder to gauge than either of the 8-minute songs. Not to gauge in like whether I like it or not, but just like maybe because it had a lot of parts for it being a 3.5-minute song, which is like pretty much the most average length of the song I think you can get. Like it's, I mean, like 3.5 minutes is like the sweet spot for most songs, but I feel like quite a lot still happened in that song. I mean, like, you had the intro, and then I feel like the intro and the verse are so different from one another. It was one of those. It's kind of like what happens when you react to a lot of songs I give you on this podcast, where the first time around you're quite unsure if you like it, and then like the second time they do something, you're like, oh, this part feels much better this time around. That's kind of how I thought about this, because like when they kind of went back into the intro, I'm like, okay, I can see how these parts fit with one another. I did like the way he sung the song a lot. I don't know, the sound of the vocals was a little interesting. Maybe just like you said, because there's a lot more space in the verse. That's why it sounded different than like some of the other songs. But I really like the vocal melody a lot, especially when he sang.
Long time coming to hear the sound.
No, it was did we really tell lies? Letting in the sunshine, because he kind of mimicked what the guitar was doing, the da na 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 da, and then he went higher again, da na 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 da. I'm a sucker when vocalists do that, when they take the melody and then just go like slightly higher than next.
Oh, wait a minute. South Side of the Sky, you just said you hate it when you modulate up, a step or something, and now you're saying you like it now.
I like it when a vocalist do it. I don't like it when the rest of the band does it. But yeah, the guitar,
moving the end zone.
The guitar parts were really jazzy during that section 2, which is why I loved it. And I did really like when the intro came back in with the drums and the bass. Interesting. I mean, I guess it's not interesting that this was a single, because this is like the appropriate.
I think it was.
It's an appropriate length for a single.
It was the B side to Roundabout.
Okay, so that's probably why it also got playtime.
So we're going to transition into song 7, The Fish, and then there is like the actual technical name of the species. of a species, Schindleria prematuris.
Oh God, it's gonna be another one of these type of songs. Okay, but so far this is a good groove. This might be one of the few instances where I wish this wasn't just like a under 3-minute song. Is that bass too? Is there bass overdubs I'm hearing? No, that's guitar.
That one's guitar.
Okay, that really sounds like the one part in Roundabout.
Wait, he's actually saying the name of the fish here? I thought he was just like humming, dude.
I love that every time we do one of your reactions to your own albums, you see the lyrics on screen. You're like, he's actually singing those lyrics?
He's singing words? Are you serious?
So why is that going to end up like top 3 on the album for me, low-key?
Yeah, I'll take it.
I mean, like, I should not
Especially if you like Long Distance Runaround. If that grows on you and you like the fish, I think that would be a highlight for you.
I mean, okay, so this album, I'm going to save some of this for the post-doc just because it makes more sense too. But like, so far this album, I'm not even so much as surprised by the prog elements in the 8-minute songs or the longer songs. More so that we have had, okay, this one's technically not instrumental, but we've had now 4 songs that are under 3 minutes long, and songs where there's not really tons of different sections. You know, the Heaven song, that one didn't have more than one section, at least like compositionally. Of course, the Cans and Brahms song was what it was. Was it 50 Cent or
5% for
5%? Okay, that one too. Like, didn't have words, and that one was under. You know, it was like 37 seconds. So like, I'm more shocked that this album has had those type of songs. I thought every song was going to be like 7-8 minutes long. Part of me is relieved because I don't know if I could take that this early in the morning.
Yeah, that's pretty dense. Yeah,
and I feel like I shouldn't like this one as much as I did. But like, the groove was just so good. Like, again, it didn't really have sections. It just kind of had this groove that they just kind of kept building on. But, you know, I love the pace of it. I love the chords. I love the bass playing. The guitar on the wall was really cool.
All right. Well, track 8 here is Mood for a Day. This would be How, his solo track here.
And immediately not loving this. Okay, we're getting a little prettier, though. This sounds like the Renaissance music that I kind of mentioned earlier. Okay, dude, calm down. I didn't mean to offend you earlier. This is pretty. So I would call this like freeform guitar. I mean, there's definitely seems like there's some repeating motifs, but it also just sounds like he's just kind of... I mean, I'm sure he probably wrote everything out, but it just kind of sounds like he's just like a little noodly and a little showing off, which there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, I mean, there's not much I can say about it. It was really pretty. I didn't like the way it started off, which is why, like, for the first, like, 2 seconds, I was like, I don't love this. And then dude heard me and was like, fuck you, and then started playing, like, really fast and impressive.
Yeah, it was a fake out intro.
And yeah, I mean, there was a section kind of in like the middle that reminded me of more of that kind of Renaissance, which that kind of to me gives me shades of like fantasy, which we kind of talked about sometimes is a theme in prog. I'd be lying if I said that I wanted more of this on the album, because I've really enjoyed the more full songs with more full instrumentation. I will say, out of the... I don't want to count the fish as an interlude. But
the fish is considered one of the solo tracks.
I know. So let's consider the fish, 5%, Kanzenbaum, and Heaven. With this one, out of all those, this is almost should be like the best because it just was simple, nice acoustic guitar. I still like the fish better because it was a full band. Bro. But So yeah, I still like this more than at least the other three. But again, I still want more full band stuff.
So this last song, this is a live staple of the band. There's nothing I can do to prepare you.
All right.
I know right now I have to hit play, but I really want you to hit play, but I will do the honors. Okay.
Yeah.
Heart of the Sunrise.
All right, the longest song on the album, just peeping the ringtone. Okay, really, really in your face, abrasive, but not like in a bad way. Oh, this I think might already be the most prog song on the album, even more than Roundabout. Okay, drums going off. We get some like kind of eerie cinema like background atmosphere vibes. I assume this is like a synth, but it sounds like drums still going off. Drums interrupting me. The drums are interrupting me while I'm trying to talk. How dare they? And I'm just now realizing, once we got into the section after the intro, no guitar. Okay. There wasn't until I literally fucking said that, but...
Steve Howe's like, you shit talk mood for a day?
Just from this, so from the two sections so far, I would have guessed this is instrumental, but by looking at the lyrics, I know it's not. Plus, there's still like 10 minutes to go, so... Okay, back to that intro. But it's a little bit more smooth. It's not so janky. I have to whisper, because this is the most delicate this album's gotten so far. Besides for the mood song. Is it crazy that I like the actual frantic parts a little bit more than this part?
No.
The fuck is this? Okay, we are now in the 14th section of the song. Why does this sound like Chili Peppers? Like early
It does
Chili
here,
Peppers.
you're so right.
Which is I like the Chili Peppers, so that's not a put down. Okay, we're fading out, but there's still like 4 minutes left of the song. Yeah, see, this is the prog that I'm not afraid of, but like I'm gonna need multiple listens. I mean, there's just so many things going on. Like, okay, piano's really cool. Okay. Is this Heaven? The Heaven song? What the fuck? Now this is some Beatles shit. I think you probably were hoping or wanting an even bigger reaction from me. But when I listen to a song like that not only is that length, but has that many moving parts and like tempo changes and just overall vibe and mood changes, I feel like a little kid that when you play peekaboo and you put your hands over your face and they no longer see you and then you go peekaboo, you're like, wait, you were gone and now you're there again. That's what I feel like listening to the song. Like I feel like a little kid that like doesn't know that songs can have that many parts and can have that many dynamics.
Thank you for explaining how to play peekaboo.
Yeah. So it's just almost like I was more speechless than like, you know, and plus too, like I felt like when I was like trying to talk, I definitely was talking over some of the parts. So that's another reason why I kind of, you know, resumed from mentioning every single thing going on. It's just, there was so much going on. So this is what I thought the whole album was going to be like. So I'm actually appreciative, at least on a first listen, that I feel like this was the only song that was super hard to digest in one listen, because I actually feel like okay, Roundabout probably would have been more like this had I never heard it before. because I've heard it so many times. Plus, I also still like Roundabout is kind of a light version of this song. Like, yeah, it's a 9-minute song with, a lot of different parts, but that one is actually way more radio friendly than this song would ever be. Um, which is not like a knock on it or anything, but it's just like there was so much going on that I need to give it like 3 listens on its own, even outside of the context of the album, to really like. I can't even tell you. I couldn't even give you a grade on this song. On all the other songs, I could give you a tentative grade. This one I couldn't even, because I mean, for the most part, there was more things I liked about it than disliked, but there was just so much going on that, and this is the prog that I have a hard time with sometimes, because it's, on one hand, it's impressive they can do that, but on the other hand, part of me is like, were there some parts that and I know there's going to be people who are fans of this album and this band who are going to like want to slap me in the face, but it's just like, did all of it go together? Was it cohesive enough for me to like, I mean, and that's another part which we won't get into, but it's just like how you enjoy music. Like, I'm sure there's lots of people who listen to this and just think it's you included, one of the best pieces of music out there ever created. But just like for me, it's just like there's things that happen in that song that are just going to be beyond my comprehension skills, that I'm just like, I'm not going to appreciate it for what it's worth. So with that being said, let me go and give this album a couple more listens, and we'll come back and I will give my final thoughts.
All right. It has been some time now, and I hope that you did your homework and gave Fragile a few more listens. And hopefully your mind is not fragile right now. Hopefully you have your secure thoughts, and this album didn't tear you apart.
Yeah, well, okay, I will say this was interesting because going into, once you told me what the album was and then we did the reaction, going into it, I was expecting, not knowing almost anything about Yes besides their genre and knowing like a handful of songs, I didn't know what a whole album worth of Yes would be like. So I pictured a majority of the songs being more like a Roundabout type of song, where it's like at least 6+ minutes long. It's definitely got the prog elements. It's definitely got a lot of sections, and
very classic rock sounding.
Classic rock, but definitely like, more prog, not just like an AC/DC song. And I was definitely surprised going, midway through second song after Roundabout, you already get like what I consider an interlude song. And you gotta get them back to back. And then, you end the first side with another Roundabout type song where it's, 7+ minutes, definitely got different sections. And then, going into side 2, it's kind of the same thing again. It was like you start off with an interlude, you're like, wow. Then you get a short song that, probably one of definitely the more radio friendly songs because it's only 3 minutes long, but definitely still a lot of prog elements. And then you get kind of back to back again interludes that are definitely longer and definitely more musical than at least the first interlude track.
Maybe more enjoyable is maybe a good word.
And then you end it with probably the proggiest type song on the whole album with Heart of the Sunrise. So the album itself, like the songs themselves weren't as proggy for the most part than I thought, but because the album went back and forth between like long songs and then these almost interlude, sometimes instrumental, interlude tracks, that kind of threw me for a loop. So, going through and giving a couple more listens all the way through, I think was important, and just, to let the listeners know, Tony and I, when we do reactions, we do have to talk through them. Like, first of all, if we couldn't put it on YouTube. Second of all, who wants to just watch us, straight face, not saying anything, not reacting, like that's, so we talk during the songs and we pause in between the songs, which is not typically how you should listen to an album all the way through. You listen to it uninterrupted, right? So it's important when we, on our own time, listen to these albums all the way through to fully get the most out of the album. And I will say, listening to the album all the way through without the interruptions made me appreciate it more.
Nice.
Maybe stopping in between hurt the album a little bit, especially me being surprised with the type of tracks that were on the album. I will say it is still kind of a weird album in the sense that you do have your Cans and Brahms, you do have your Mood for a Day, the 5% song. Like those tracks, there's out of those, I mean, okay, I will say We Have Heaven, I do enjoy. It kind of has this like zombies feel, but then with the harmonies and melodies, it kind of reminds me of like the Beach Boys a little bit, or Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. And Mood for a Day is very nice. It's the third instrumental interlude track, and because technically the Fish they do sing.
Yeah, it does have.
Yeah.
I was fact checking you there.
Yeah, I know you were. But Mood for a Day is definitely the pretty, acoustic guitar, kind of classical sounding song. I mean, not as classical as like Cans and Brahms, but you know what I'm saying. And that's nice too. But definitely out of the 4 interlude tracks, I think by far my favorite is The Fish. I mean, that one is just like I don't see that as like an interlude, more just I see it as an instrument. Oh, well, okay, it's not instrumental, but it might as well be instrumental because the lyrics are so kind of sparse. They're just singing one thing. They're kind of more hidden too in the mix.
Yeah, I didn't even realize he was actually saying like with the Fish name. I just thought he was just
And then going through the interlude tracks, it's like okay, these two I enjoy, Heaven and The Fish. The other two I would never listen to on their own, Cans and Brahms and 5%. But then The Fish I really, really like as much as the full tracks. So then that kind of leaves you, with Roundabout, South Side of the Sky, Long Distance Runaround, and Heart of the Sunrise. And you already know I love Roundabout, classic song. And, I did know Long Distance Runaround a little bit. So I will say pretty much everything that wasn't those 2 interlude songs that
and Mood
I
for
don't
a Day
care for.
as well, I think is probably grouped in that for you.
Well, no, because Mood for a Day grew on me too. I'm saying like the only ones that didn't grow on me at all.
Does Mood for a Day sit with The Fish? Not as good as The Fish for you, of course, but
Yeah, it's like a level below The Fish. Like
Okay.
definitely not on the same tier, but it's definitely at least 2 tiers above Cans and Brahms and 5%.
Okay.
I mean, like South Side of the Sky didn't have to really grow on me because that one I really loved off the bat. The only part that had to grow on me was that kind of long middle instrumental section, even when they bring in those harmonies, the wordless harmonies, like that part. And I still think that part brings it down a little bit for my liking because if this was one of those, like, even if it was like a 5-minute song or 4-minute song, I think I would love it even more because I love the guitar playing on that song. I love the little fast like riffs and how they change throughout the different verses. Like I love that. And then Long Distance Runaround too really grew on me even more because that one it's almost like it's too short because there's so much going on in that song. I almost felt like whiplash a little bit because that first section still does not even sound like what I would expect Yes to sound like. It sounds like a mix between like Steely Dan or like the Allman Brothers or like Leonard Scott's. I don't know.
The major sounding harmonies.
Yeah, and like the dual guitar playing and how fast it is, and then especially my favorite part of the song is when he does the sunrise, like that melody, like that part of me again kind of sounds like an older kind of band like the Zombies or something. So that song, definitely the more I listen to it, the more I'm like, yeah, okay, I can see why this song's so great because it is all the parts. It has all the parts of a Heart of the Sunrise, but in a 3-minute song. So speaking of Heart of the Sunrise, definitely the one that I'm still not struggling with because I do really enjoy all the parts. It's just maybe I just need to listen to more prog, and I'm hoping you do give me more prog down the road. It's just like 11 minutes. It's like I like every part, especially like how it starts. I even like when it kind of gets quiet when they first bring in the vocals. It's just like that song I do kind of zone out in or during,
in a good way though, right?
In a good way, but it's like
in the sauce.
Like, okay, the other day I was at the record store, right? I was selling some records, and while I was waiting, of course, I have nothing else to do but to browse through the records. Unfortunately, I had to skip an Elliott and a Steely Dan record because they were too expensive. That store, a lot of those records are too expensive, but And I was playing this album on my headphones because they were playing something that I didn't like. And I will say, like, parts of that song I was like jamming out to, but then parts I almost forgot it was like kind of playing in my ears just because it's like almost a little fatigue. So that one is the one that I think still has potential to grow on me more and more. It's just not at the level of the progness to me of Roundabout or even a long distance run around, you know? So, now I know you did ask me for song rankings, and I do have one. So I mean, I think you can guess probably the two bottom ones.
Yeah, Cans and Brahms and 5% for nothing.
And I probably would go in
Cans
that
and
order.
Brahms on the bottom.
Yeah, because at least 5% for nothing is kind of one of those like bullshit jam things where it's like the intro last exit, right? Where it's just like it almost just sounds so abrasive and like all the instruments almost don't work against one another, but it's kind of cool. It's kind of jazzy, like. But like,
and it gets your attention.
It does. Cans and Brahms to me is just like, yeah, it's like kind of pretty, but it's the instrument just sounds so outdated. Whatever like keyboard he's playing, whatever, you know. So those are my bottom two. Then I would go Mood for a Day, but it's definitely way above those two, and I do consider it more of a real song, quote real song.
And then the hottest take ever, you'd probably put Heart of the Sunrise next.
Yes.
And then you would, let me see. This is where it starts to get a little tricky here.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of would say you would probably put South Side of the Sky next because it's 8 minutes. Probably 3 of those minutes are the part that isn't your favorite. And although you really like the other part, I mean, The Fish is just like a 10 out of 10 3-minute jam.
No, I mean, I have to go We Have Heaven.
Oh, I forgot about that. Okay,
Which,
I take back my answer. I would have put that.
To be fair, I do think obviously Heart of the Sunrise is a better song than We Have Heaven. That one is just like.
I just forgot that. Yeah, I'm sorry. I forgot you put. Sorry. Okay. This is crazy.
Yeah, but I do like just right now. If I had to listen to one, I would definitely listen to We Have Heaven because it's short and it's just like. But like, yeah, is Heart of the Sunrise definitely more impressive? Actual like songwriting, more meat to the bone. Like, yeah, definitely Heart of the Sunrise. But it's some of it is a little short for me to get through. So, plus kind of without We Have Heaven, you don't have the ending to Heart of the Sunrise. So
that is the worst argument I've ever heard you make.
So yeah, so we got those. You know, we got the Cans and Brahms, Mood for a Day, Heart of the Sunrise, We Have Heaven. Then, you know, I wish I could put it higher. I do have to go The Fish.
Okay, that's fine.
Because
that's fine.
Like, it is short. It is just an instrumental. I mean, I love the percussion. I love like the different bass lines, and you know, but it is an instrumental. Like it is, you know, it is what it is.
Bro, just chat talk instrumentals.
And then it gets hard because then it's like the 3 of the songs left: Roundabout, South Side of the Sky, and Long Distance Runaround. Right now, I really want to put South Side of the Sky too, because everything but like that middle, and even the middle section I like. I just think it goes on a little too long. I love like the verse. I love how it kind of transitions to the chorus. Even though I said I didn't like it as much on the first reaction. I
was wondering about that.
Okay, it did grow on me, the kind of going up, you know, like the scales. But I have to go Long Distance Runaround too because it's more an exciting song. Like the other South Side is more like a jam, right? And it's like it's heavier, it's beefier. Yeah, I was not expecting it to be that tough. But Long Distance Runaround is kind of more fun. And
Long Distance Runaround does deserve the title of like a pocket symphony.
And it has, yeah, because it has everything. And it does have like the really cool, you know, fast riffs at the beginning. Sounds really kind of artsy. But then you do have that Soundgarden type riff where it's like a little darker, a little heavier.
A lot of space in there.
But then I love how it comes out of that with the melody the sunrise, da-na-na-na-na. I love that. So
you get the clean guitar arpeggios, you know, that connect back to the intro.
And then I gotta be I gotta be basic. I'm a basic bitch. Roundabout. I mean,
That's okay. It's still an amazing song.
yeah.
So
I mean,
I'm
it's
okay with that.
Roundabout to me is like, is it maybe the best prog song? It's the best prog song I've heard, and I haven't heard that many, so
You probably
maybe
heard like
that's.
how many songs are on this album?
But like, it's to me, it is what like I think from this album. Roundabout is what this whole album does best, in my opinion. Where it has the different sections. It has slower sections. It has faster sections, rock sections. It has. I feel like I didn't really have to talk about the
Got
lyrics
the
and vocals.
acoustic moment as well in the intro.
Yeah.
Like Mood for Days.
Yeah, and then like the lyrics and vocals, they're almost kind of like how the Ben Harper for You was last week. It's like kind of on our first listen, they didn't affect you that much, and you did like them more, the subs, the rest of the listens. But it's, I like the vocals a lot. They just don't like, I don't know. I don't think about them that much. Same with the lyrics. Like I do feel like lyrically, maybe it's the weakest point of the album because I feel like the songs that have lyrics, like real lyrics, not the fish, but they're like nice, nature lyrics, or they kind of paint nice abstract scenes, but I feel like they don't tell a ton of stories. And I might be missing, I will admittedly did not really go through the lyrics too much, like on Genius or whatever.
Yeah, I think it's really
my bad
if
my bad. I'm the one that always preaches lyrics first, and I didn't do that for this album. But I really feel like you gave me this album for the musical experience.
If you're not listening to this album for the musical experience, or at least the collection, the sum of all the parts, what you doing?
And that's what like Roundabout is for me. It's like it is. I feel like it encompasses the best aspects and elements of this album. So,
although the best part of the album lyrically is in Heart of the Sunrise, Sharp Distance. That part's so iconic.
Yeah. But yeah, I really enjoy this album. I did. Oh, you froze. There we go. We're good now.
Yeah, you froze too.
We both froze. Okay, must have been Zoom then. I don't know.
Fragile connection. Yeah, there we go.
So I did when I was this is kind of meta. When I was listening to this album at the record store, I did see a copy, and it was less expensive than the Elliott album or the Steely Dan.
Oh, you gonna break my heart.
But I didn't get it because, I mean, I can't put this over the Steely Dan or the Steely Dan was Can't Buy a Thrill. The Elliott was Figure Eight. Two albums we've talked about in the past. You can find them on our channel. I feel like I couldn't buy Fragile over those two yet because, like, right now I like those two albums more than this one, but that's because I've had more time with them. I feel like this is an album though I eventually would buy on vinyl because I do think it would be good to have an album that is like a musical journey where you can listen to it, I feel like, in two ways, where you listen to it where you're paying attention and you're going on the roller coaster ride, not only just between the moments in the songs themselves, but the roller coaster ride between the songs, those instrumentals, those interludes, and then the real songs. Or you can listen to it kind of in the background, like, especially the longer songs like Roundabout, South Side of the Sky, Heart of the Sunrise. Like, you can listen to those kind of in the background and, like, they're just kind of good songs to kind of, you're a little stone or, you're just kind of in that mood. They're nice to have on in the background. So yeah, I think I would get this one down the road. Yeah, those are my feelings. I don't know if you have any I know I kind of rambled on, but I don't know if you have any questions or
No, I mean,
roast me for my opinions.
I mean, I could. The fact that you would take We Have Heaven over Heart of the Sunrise is I can't look at you the same way.
Yeah, I know. If I get roasted for that in the comments, that is understandable. Like,
I think the rest of your ranking is actually pretty similar to mine. I wouldn't put, I would definitely put Heart of the Sunrise near the top just because of how epic it is. But I do understand that.
Would you put it over Roundabout?
Oh, I would put it over Roundabout. Roundabout is definitely more listenable in more scenarios. But I just think, like, when Heart of the Sunrise hits, it hits.
So is that your favorite then?
It's tough, but yeah, I would say it just because it also has the power of just like the first 5 seconds I'm hooked, and then that part where They only do it once, unfortunately, where it's just bass and drums, and then the
Yeah.
synth comes in, and it sounds like so cinematic. That is one of the coolest sections I've ever heard. That is, I try to replicate that probably subconsciously for the next 2 years after hearing that. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think the rest of your list is out of pocket. It seems like you kind of know how you feel with the album, which I think is good, and I'll definitely be excited to give you another Yes album.
Yeah, I would like to
I
hear another one. If I hear another Yes album and I have the same experience, then I feel like it might be one of those bands where it's like I might enjoy every album that you give me, but they might not just rank as high as other albums you give me because of maybe the genre. But I have a feeling after another Yes album, assuming you give me another kind of more classic Yes album where it has maybe more prog elements, it could make or break prog for me. And not so much more break, but make, because I think it
No
could.
pressure, no pressure.
It could make me appreciate prog more, because that's definitely a genre of rock I have not gotten into as much.
Yeah, so I'll probably give you the Yes album next. That is what it's called. It has one of my favorite Yes songs, Starship Trooper, on it.
I know that
Uh,
title, but I don't know if I know the song.
the two longest songs are both 9.5 minutes. And then if that goes well, I have to give you Close to the Edge next. I I I'm a little hesitant because the first song is 18 minutes long.
Jesus Christ.
The second song is 10 minutes long. And the third and final song is 9 minutes long.
Yeah, I do appreciate, like, even though there was a couple songs on this album with a long runtime, I appreciate it still, for the most part, being pretty standard. Maybe because there were so many short interludes, I don't know. But
Yeah. Close to the Edge is a very cool album. I really like it, and you know what? I'm kind of in the mood for it. I might listen to it on my way out today. But we gotta build your muscles there first. You gotta walk before you fly, or whatever
True.
they say.
Well, drop us a comment and let us know what you think of this album. And we'll be back next week. I think we're going to do a couple more album for albums before, I think by the end of the next week, Tony and I's schedules should maybe start being a little bit more smoother.
A
So
little
we're
more aligned.
yeah, so maybe we'll do a couple more album for albums, and then we'll start to branch out and do some of our other themed episodes. And then we're still planning some guests. It's definitely harder to plan for the guest episodes time wise, but time zone wise too. But those will be coming soon because
Oh, I think you meant you and I. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking
guest
about?
episodes?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, I tuned out for 1 second. I was too busy thinking about Yes.
Okay, well, stay tuned for those episodes, and yeah, until next week, you'll be hearing from us soon. See ya.